Good morning, traders. Hope you're all doing fantastic. It's Tuesday, so it's time for the weekly outlook and setups as well. Well, the Tuesday outlook and setups, as well as a new morning analysis for the team and for the setup signal group. So it has been a flashy Monday. It's like a cliff slide happening on Monday. And there were a few opportunities I think that we kind of missed, and some that just did not present as it should have presented. I'll quickly have a look at that. Let's start with GU actually. Let's have a quick look at the opportunities, the ones that we could have taken, or yeah, just a quick recap on price action. So we saw this very big flush towards the downside, and this I think did potentially create the low of the week potentially. So we're reacting off of something in this week. Possibly it's some lower time frame area of supply demand, but we're reacting off of it in this week on the 4 hour. We still have this lower one here on the 4 hour, but not necessarily that we will tap it, but we still have this one we didn't tap into. We like barely touched it. Price failed to go lower, and we could potentially see price either dump further into this area, or we could see now this pullback forming and we move higher up the rest of the week, if indeed we did create the Monday low of the week. Just to recap on, take a look at what happened yesterday and the trade that I missed. You can see that we reacted off of this small 1 hour candle of supply. It was quick, it was without fear, it was just quick tap into it, and then we went off to the downside. So what happened? It was a 15-minute range as well, and you can barely see. You can see it also just tapped into it. So Asian session started. So that's where we had Asian session ended. Sorry, Asian session ended. We had this push towards the downside, breaking the structure, and then we had this push towards the upside. So on the 1 minute, I thought to myself, okay, but potentially we could see a long trade towards the upside. We see price pushing up. We accumulated orders over here. We accumulated orders. We pushed up. We grabbed more liquidity towards the downside, and then we had this trend shift towards the upside. We had this nice complex low correction, and I took a long right here, something like this. Um, could have probably just, I think the stop loss was a bit wider, like 4 pips or something. Could have probably taken secured or gotten out over here, but I thought my thought process was that we were going to go a bit higher up into this range over here, and then see the sell off from this area above these wicks to grab the liquidity and then push down. But I didn't think, maybe there was some wrong understanding on liquidity in that area. And that, nonetheless, if we were to take the short from here, there were no entry. So you can see price basically just, we had this accumulation, price pushed up, pushed down, and then barely made a pullback. It was very slow, barely made a dent as a pullback. You can see price tried to pull back, but just flushed towards the downside. The area that we would have potentially looked to sell from is this area. If we could see a nice decent pullback into this area, creating some liquidity, and then take a short from this area, then it could have been a valid short opportunity. But we did not get that opportunity, so it was not presented to us. If we just look further then to the 15 minute, what happened, you see then price started to push down, push down, push down. So obviously there were then probably some lower time frame mitigations and shorting opportunities, but none was really given. This was quick 1 minute mitigations. Even this era, when we had this big push up, and you would expect price, I would expect price to at least come back to this range of supply. We didn't reach back into it. Then we start pushing down again. Then we had this push. Okay, so this could have been an entry, but this was, yeah, this could have been an entry from this range. So they could have been an entry because they were a push towards the downside and a structure break, and then price continued further dropping. Then I looked in this area for a long opportunity, We had, I think, the 1 hour order block to the left was like this, and this candle just tapped it. And then we had the shift towards the upside, breaking minor structure, and then again breaking structure again. I at first looked at this area as a level of supply. In my opinion, it got invalidated, but also noting that this is also a region of supply, so potentially this reaction could have catalyst towards the downside as well. And then there's the candle of demand, and then took something like this. And so we had a break, here, pushed up, and then it was kind of consolidating and just messy. And I told the guys in the team, like, listen, close in profit if you want to, because news is coming out, and then yeah, it's going to be kind of yeah. I missed that the news was coming out, so otherwise I probably would have waited for the news first before looking to take a trade. So that's what happened over here, and then we had a big push towards the downside, and then a big push up again. Failed to make a higher high there, and then we start pushing down again. Then price created this lower high, and then all of a sudden it found momentum to go back towards the upside. So if you look at it, we had a shift over here. We had a change, the flip towards the upside, but then again, price did not come back for an entry. You can see price just stalled and then went further towards the upside. So ideally, you could look at this range as an area of demand. It didn't come back and then just start trading towards the upside. And this was now late, bedtime, past my trading hours, then Asian session, and then this is where we are right now. So let's have a quick look at where are we right now. And it's important for us to note a few key things that I missed adding. I'm going to add that right now. Let's take this away first now. Take some of these things away just to keep the charts a bit cleaner. So basically, current price action, I am looking, I'm just going to quickly put up the day separator. So using the cyclic line tool, let's see on the left, cyclic lines, and I place it at the New York open, New York midnight. So the New York new day, it's 7 back up till 7. Where are we? 7, and just taking it forward as well so that I can see where more or less the day's price action, which we can expect. So this is now Monday, so potentially this could be Monday low of the week. Not sure yet. So if this is the low of the week, then obviously we'll be going a bit higher. If not, then we'll probably could be going lower to this area. So now it gets a bit tricky personally for me, because now we kind of have to figure out which is holding, the supply or the demand, because currently we're seeing demand still respecting, but on the lower time frames, on the 1 minute, we can see that we started seeing the shift. So you can see we started breaking above the structures when we started respecting all of the demand areas. And now we're still respecting the demand areas. You can see the ones over here. We're still respecting them, and starting to push back towards the upside. So there's some confluences from the lower time frame point of view that we are still going back towards the upside, but it's not 100% evident yet. So we have our Asian session. We can just look at the start of Asian session as well. There's our, for some reason, I'm not exactly sure. No, there's the start of Asian session. And we can look at the Asian session highs and lows. That we have the highs, we have the lows over there. So the team knows what we can do with these highs and lows. So you guys can apply those concepts. But currently, I'm looking to see just if this is a favorable Asian range, because usually the Asian range, if it's too big, then it's not an ideal session for us. So we can also note this is 1 hour imbalance, and we can also refine it to 50-minute imbalance, which is really good. So we could perhaps see a push towards the downside, a sweep of the Asian lows into the 1 hour 50-minute imbalance, and then a further push towards the upside, creating that higher low. So then we have a low created, and then we're creating potentially a higher low, and then for price to further move back towards the upside. Currently, all of this is trend line liquidity. You can see the liquidity being generated in here, which gives us some indication of where it will reach for, because price always reaches for liquidity from one point of liquidity to the next. We also have this 1 hour imbalance up here as well, which could act as a confirmation, and then this buying area before the sell-off, which is also important. So we can just take note of that from a intraday point of view for where price could potentially reach for in this day. So obviously we have the open there. So anticipating price to potentially go lower, make a low for the day, and then move up higher. But obviously, we need some confirmation, so we need to see price dip down and then get some confirmation or 1 minute structure shift, and then potentially an entry back towards the upside. So that's currently the idea that I have for GU and what I'm currently expecting. So if we're looking for shorts, then obviously I would want to see confirmation of sorts short. So we still want to see price then break structure, push down, and then respect the supply created, and then break again, and then come back, because that will give me a real confirmation that we are still going short. So actually, same applies for longs as well, because if we just look at it like this, and we break this level of supply, then also we could look for the pullback for longs. That's ideally what we want to see. And then the further towards the upside. So if we push down, break structure, yes, shorts, but then we push all the way back up and we break structure towards the upside again, then I do think we could potentially see longs in play for an uptrend this day. That rhymed. I didn't even plan it. So that's kind of what's in my head and my mindset for today on GU. Um, Yesterday's low, so we could just mark that out as the previous day low. Then the previous day high is all the way up here. So you'll notice, and if this is something that you'll see as well if you do a lot of testing and back testing and forward testing and observing, price in a good training day when we want to be trading, price will always be reaching for a previous day high or low. If it's a bad trading day and price is not in the mood, then often you will see price just consolidate and not go for any previous day high or low. And then that often means as well that it's a better day not to trade. Just stay away. And believe it or not, because some days are better to not trade. You might not want to believe it, but it is the truth. Because we always want to trade, we always want to make money, but sometimes not trading is the best way to make money. So this is the plan, and this is the outlook for pound dollar. So let's have a quick look at Aussie dollar. Like I said, I'm going to be looking at it a bit more. So just a few things. On the 50-minute, we had this body close structure break above. We'd failed to tap into the area of supply up there, and looking at this leg towards the upside, breaking structure, then my first inclination is to see, okay, where could we react off of to go further towards the upside. We'll have a look now at the high time frame. You'll understand why I'm looking at longs as well as shorts. You'll see the shorts just now. But this green little shaded area, that's the high time frame imbalance, 1 hour imbalance, and it also aligns with the 50-minute area of demand, which is in here. So we have two zones that I've marked out here. We have this one, which is this candle, but I just took this wick as well. And then we have this big candle, which created this little range over here. So that's the other one that I'm using. So you can even see on the 5 minute, it should be clear. You can see this sell, and then we had this buy, and then we had this range, and then this push up. This then created this structure break for price. So on the 50-minute, I'm expecting price for longs. If we were to see longs, for price to come down in this area, give us confirmation entry, and then move back towards the upside, breaking below these lows, seeing price go lower and creating the low of the day, and then potentially move up higher. But if we were not to see that, the same rule applies here for me with regards to structure and longs and shorts. So if If price were to break this area impulsively as a structure break, now we have a structure break, then obviously we've created some sort of demand supply in this area. Then if we sharply come back to this area, then obviously I'm thinking, okay, this area is going to break. And then I want to see price come back to the new demand created and then go towards the upside. But if we slowly come back towards it, correcting, then we're creating liquidity, and then possibly we look for an entry and take the short further to yesterday's lows over here. So those are the two scenarios. You can, if you remember, this was an entry pattern I shared once in the Telegram group. So that is the outlook that I have for today. And the other scenario is we just push up, we just start to trend up. We should just take note that this is the Asian low over there. There's the Asian high. So if, and this is a big range, it's more than 40 pips. More than 40 pips, then ideally you would not trade it. It's like almost 50 pips. So it's not an ideal Asian session range to base off of our trade ideas. It's a bit more sketchy and tricky. But if we were to continue towards the upside, then we would be still be trading within the Asian range. And obviously we want to see the Asian range broken, taken out. But same applies. We take out this trade line liquidity and we get some sort of short corrective price action pullback into an area of demand. Then we could look for longs back towards the upside. Obviously targeting the Asian highs first of this area of supply, and then ultimately, I'm not sure exactly where. Ultimately, wherever price tells us to go. To note that it's important to note that, let's get this out of the way. If you look at the 4 hour, we are reacting off of this 4 hour level of supply. So let's just get that up. So we're reacting off of this 4 hour level of supply, which could indicate price moving down lower. We also have this 4 hour imbalance the price is tapping into now, which we'll then need to see if it's enough of a catalyst to drive price lower. The 4 hour view, let's have a just quick look at the 4 hour. You can see we reacted off of this 4 hour level of demand. I'm not going to put, so it's basically the zone, but I just placed the top part of the zone as a line. We tapped into it, bullish reaction towards the upside. After we broke all of the structure, this is kind of the current range. I believe that we're sitting within this high and this low, and obviously thinking the price could be potentially making a move back towards the upside. But we just need to have a quick look at the high time frames as well, like the daily and weekly, just to get a good picture of what is this scenario happening over here. Where did it react off? We reacted off of this daily. We really reacted well off of this daily area of demand. So we can see price reacting off of this daily area, even the refined 4 hour area. So the daily is then say to either going further towards the downside, down to potentially maybe this area of demand, down there, or it should just move towards the upside, because the daily trend currently, as we can see, we're pushing up, down, up, down, up, down. We did not yet body close below this wick. So this was the last, in my opinion, the last high low. We have not yet closed below it. So technically we're still in an uptrend. You can see how structure is important now. This could be getting confusing. There we have the high, low, high, low, something like this, the daily structure, as we can see back towards the upside. So technically we're still in an uptrend from a daily point of view. So just keep that in mind and just have a look at the weekly. It's also interesting to see the weekly. The weekly is in a downtrend. So if you just look at it, just look at it like this, you can see clearly the weekly pushing towards the downside. This is now pullback. Will the weekly continue? Or will we see a weekly reversal? If we see a weekly reversal, that could be really good for us for longs. But as I said, so we're in this. You can see this the daily. You can see the daily is creating that structure towards the upside. Potentially now looking for price to give us an indication that it's going to go higher. For that, we keep on the 50-minute, and yeah. So we have our areas we would like to buy. We'll actually just want to get this away for now. We have the areas where we'd like to buy and then take price towards the upside. So that's my view on on GU and Aussie dollar. Let's have a look. So just to recap, longs and short is on the table. I think it depends on what's the half sentiment. Mm. Yeah, let's have a look. All right, guys, it's a long one. Sorry for that. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I'll catch you in the next one.